Yeah, did
Okay, that's not the cold open, but the show's recording, but I'll figure out what the cold open is. Once we get something funny, then I'll introduce the show.
Oh, that's rude.
No, I'm saying like because I felt like we were all kind of not ready.
Everyone's been ready. We've already been chatting. Dan's had 7 cookies. I ate a soup dumpling. You grew a mustache. It's like we've been here a while. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
My dad is like.
Wait, can I introduce you, Annie? Before.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
So today is a very special episode of the show. These are 2 comics that are very close to my heart, and I was actually thinking there was some lady who passed away. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Old enough. Yeah. So I mean I never met her, but she was a comic. She was a little older.
Rebecca Trent died. Oh no, the Creek did. Oh, okay, go ahead.
All right, Annie.
She probably subscribes to your Patreon. Anyway,
rest in peace.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Creek in the Cave.
R.I.P. to the Creek in the Cave. Annie and Rebecca don't. I guess they don't get along. But anyway,
I don't not get along with her.
But last night just kind of got me thinking about that time in your life when you're like in your 20s and you're running around and you're doing open mics and you're kind of like figuring stuff out. And you don't realize it when it's happening because it feels awful. But that's like the greatest time of your life. So
yes. These
are 2 people that I sort of spent that time. I had the pleasure of spending that time with at that point in my life. We shared an apartment together. Our first, it's Annie Lederman and Dan St Germain. So I want to thank you guys for being here.
That was nice. That was a nice.
Are you sure that wasn't an outro? You just thanked us for being it. Like it was like goodbye. I hope that was the best time of our lives because look at us now. We're killing it. I mean. Dan has a potato sack as his curtain. You have a dead tree. I have just like the most disgusting couch behind me. This is a very expensive couch. Just give it as a gift.
It's funny. All of our existences prove is that you can get on TV and still be in trouble.
I am still in a danger zone. I would say I'm not out of danger yet.
Yeah. I mean, I have a child coming.
I know. Oh my God.
At least you guys.
Your kid's more in danger than me.
Every month I have to find more piles of trash to pick up or I'm not going to be able to support my kid. But anyway, no, it's there's a time in your life where you look back. I think when you're a creative person, you look back and you go, oh, these are the people that I was sort of like running around with and we were figuring stuff out. We were navigating the scene that we weren't really that we didn't really know how to navigate. And there were a lot of, there were different personalities to deal with and
Suba. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was mainly Suba.
Thank God we're talking about
it was
Suba.
Mainly the person who's more successful than all of us at the moment.
It's so funny. But you know what? It's
the young what?
The best ending. It's the best ending.
That she got successful?
Of course. There's no funnier. If you truly
shout out to Suba Agarwal. Yeah.
Suba, you're killing it.
You're killing it. We're really proud of you.
We're proud of you. We hazed you online for no reason, not Dan. But Mike and I would just shared a wall.
Yeah, didn't we?
Bullying used to be cool. We used to be allowed to bully. It was fun.
Yeah. We were pretty awful to people. It used to be cool and it used to be socially acceptable.
But we were being fun. Sorry. We never wanted bad things for
Where's Dan go?
No, my charger fell off.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. Can I tell you a memory? I just had one jump in.
Yeah.
I go to the dollar store in the corner near our house. Okay. I overhear a man arguing with the dollar store clerk trying to return. Yeah, but my charger doesn't work. It never worked. And they're like, it's a dollar store. I don't know what you want. It's just like, and he's like, I want my dollar back. And it's just argue. And I'm like, I'm recognizing the voice. And I turn the corner and it is Dan St Germain. He is trying to return a phone charger at the fucking dollar store for it to get his dollar back.
It was probably like $6 or something.
That's so funny.
So
the people are just like,
are you the new roommate?
What?
Dan just turns around. He's like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
What was that?
My dog.
Okay.
Randy.
Dog.
Yeah. So Annie got a
Randy!
new dog.
Sorry. Todd,
So,
can you handle him? Thank you.
Well, it was I don't know. I felt like when we got to move in with Dan, it was kind of like it was fun because Dan was starting to get a little heat when we moved in with him. He headlined he headlined comics, but that was like after. That was after, but you know when you're doing mics, you can kind of tell like who's going to be successful, and then who's like really funny, but they're just too insane to ever make it or have any kind of a career. Do you guys remember that guy Dan Mintz?
Oh yeah, Dan, yeah.
Yeah,
Dan, the dog walker, the professional dog walking, the PI.
Was he a dog walker?
No, he would go on talk shows saying that he was a dog walking inspector. So he would inspect dog walkers. And it was like I forget what it was, like Maury. Somebody had him on. There was like a couple of talk shows that had him on.
Oh yeah.
He would do that kind of shit all the time. He would like scam. He would just straight up scam people all the time.
Really?
Like, fucking Catch Me If You Can. Sort of thing.
Yeah. He got up at the pit one time and he was like, "Hey guys, I hired a service to write some of my jokes, and I think I got someone else's jokes, but I'm just gonna do them and see how they go over." And he goes, "Yeah, so I'm half Japanese and half black." And like,
that was funny.
Yeah. He did.
I know, it used to be. It really was fun doing mics, man. There were so many characters.
The second year comedy is the best. Yeah, when you're just doing mics and.
Yeah.
I kind of picked you guys though because. I always give people this advice when they
you had a thing about like you were so particular about who you would be friends with and who you would talk to.
Well, because I wanted to hang out with people that were working hard and would like make me work hard.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that were there just to hang out, which we got to hang out and we had a great time, but I didn't want to hang out with people that were if I called and was like, I want to stand and write, that they want to be like, shut up, you're so full of shit. Like, just go to the mic. And what
I liked about being friends with you is you made it very clear early on that you weren't going to have sex with either of us.
Well, Dan told people he went on a date with me, or he had a date with me or something.
Did I say that?
You did. You told Sean Donnelly that when I first came to comedy, I didn't know that when you're.
Hey, can we have like one time where we have an interaction that's recorded or where you don't bring up the fact that I struck out with you? Like just one time.
Hey, I'm proud.
No, we obviously can't.
I'm not ashamed.
But everyone struck out. It wasn't like you.
Hey, look, when you shoot for the moon, sometimes you land, in a.
When you shoot for a satellite orbiting Secaucus, New Jersey.
I just listen when I first.
In a lot of ways, comedy, that's what Annie's pussy was—a satellite orbiting. Secaucus.
I thought you were going to say it was Secaucus. I just was never going to hook up with anyone in comedy, and I ended up. I ended up dating some really hideous men, so you shouldn't feel bad. It just was. That was a good play. And then when you made that clear,
you guys ever try to like meet you?
What?
What's the lamest way a guy's try to pick you up?
Do you want to write jokes and then telling Sean Donnelly you had a date with me? But
no, but like for real, I mean that's pathetic. But
look, we've all done it.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just think of some really terrible female comics that I've offered to write jokes with.
I didn't know in the beginning that's what it was, and now I get it. When I moved to LA, do you guys know Jimmy Schubert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like way older than us, and he was at the Comedy Store, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to go? We're all gonna go eat afterwards." So I went to this diner with him, and then it was just him, and I was like, "Okay." And then he was like,
"What would you rather do? Would you rather fuck Jimmy Schubert or write jokes with Jimmy Schubert if you had to pick?"
I would honestly write jokes with anyone. I don't think I have like a. I think it's fun to write jokes.
You guys still writing stand up right now? I mean, you're probably still up, right?
I have like some bits.
I've gotten up like 4 times in October.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. I've performed like 4 times in the pandemic. I haven't been like worried about it because I feel like this break has actually been good.
I mean, you look beautiful.
And why? Thank you, Mike. Are we gonna bring that up?
What? Yeah, but
Once
later. Let it come up organically.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I think it's good. And when I have gone up, I have all new material and it's coming very naturally. So just that little bit of pressure of going like, oh, I have a show in a couple days. Like I have a show on Thursday, so I have to come up with a couple new things.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll do these brutal free writes. Like I'll sit down on my computer and I'll just set a timer for like 30 minutes and I'll just try to write, whatever's in there. And it's never really that effective, but every once in a while it kind of gets the wheels turning. And I don't know if I could recommend it to comics, to people who are trying to do comedy as an effective tool. But every once in a while it does kind of lead to something.
I don't think I can recommend doing comedy to people. It's like,
yeah.
It is weird when you've done it this long. You're kind of like, it might not be worth it for you.
Well, you think back to that time when we were living together, like 2010, 2011, and you're like, yeah, that was kind of like the best time because we had everything to look forward to. And now what we were looking forward to was this,
Yeah, we got it already. And I'm like, that's what I learned in the pandemic, but it's actually been good. Like all this stuff I've been chasing, where I'm like, oh, I want to make it or whatever. I already did that. Like I'm in the place that I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. So now it's about expanding this and just being the best I can be again. But I do like, you guys really helped me, and just this group of friends and Mike Lawrence and Brian Baldinger. It really helped me be more, like really want to be my best. Like it never was like just wanting to like write more and do, like it was never about being like famous and stuff, which sucks because maybe we focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, we should have focused on that.
Now I'm like, yikes, a lot of people have a lot of things.
This is how delusional I am. Like today I was thinking of like, what's a rich job, like a job you can get paid a lot of money for that like you don't have to have a lot of experience for that I could do? And I was like, oh, I know. I could be like the guy who scouts the guy for the really cool job. Because there's always that movie where the guy's like, I've been reviewing your files, Mr. Plunkett. We'd love to have you here. And you're really in security. Like, that's not a real fucking, I have no experience in that.
Dan has to find talent on TikTok.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, yeah, exactly. I thought you were going to be like a TikTok guy because I did like your, that TikTok you did, Dan. I shared that. That was hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
I've been wanting to make fun of that too. You guys.
I want to make fun of TikTok a lot. Yeah.
But still saying like, I definitely want to make a TikTok and just make fun of all the things people are doing, but it's.
Make fun of things people are doing on TikTok, right?
Right. But the thing is that TikTok is the popular thing and we are kind of like the old thing now. So it's like, are we just the people, are we the old man that are yelling at the kids who's like baseball goes into our yard?
But it's still kind of bad.
It's terrible.
Because the content that's on there is still pretty bad and it's sort of like, I don't know, it's like cheesy and it's also just kind of, it's very ripe. It's very ripe for parody. I think the stuff I'm seeing on TikTok. I saw I saw a couple videos where it's like white people. There's like this woman's cooking. She's making cookies and she's like, no, these cookies are like literally crack. These are my crack cookies, and it's like basically like crack. And just the fact that like white people being that comfortable talking about crack is very funny. Like you might as well be like, you'll be sucking dick for these. You'll be stealing money from your mother. I might have said that on last week's episode, but I don't care.
Or put a picture, like splice in a picture of an actual crackhead on the street. It's like crack.
Right.
But Dan,
something crack.
What?
You ever smoke crack?
I never smoked crack. Can you believe it? Not yet.
I never smoked crack either.
I don't think I ever have. I may have accidentally smoked it. That's about it.
I did, yeah. I've done things on accident, but
but I haven't.
I think I took meth. I took meth instead of Molly once.
I did that.
I think.
Dan smokes crack at like a cast party, like he was in a production of The Music Man, and someone brought crack.
Dan introduces crack to the Broadway scene.
He's in like a straw hat, and a pinstripe suit.
That's when the fiddler on the roof parties got dark.
No, but Dan's parody was so funny. It was like the thing where people kind of like throw their shoe up or whatever, and then they're in a different outfit.
Yeah, it's
like he came in naked and was blooded. It was bleeding. You're like, oh, I did it wrong. It's so funny.
Thanks. I thought I was going to be able to share a little more, but
no, it's an algorithm thing. That's what's so annoying. It's like you have to just keep posting things and
keep posting.
But maybe we should keep each other accountable on stuff like that because we can.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It's just Mike and I have tried to write together over the phone, and it just like makes me lose all faith in all my jokes. He goes like, I'll be like, what about this? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, Mike hates my jokes.
You got to find the right person that compliments you, though, and does just.
Yeah.
I like writing with Dan Perlman, like jokes with him.
He's great.
Yeah, because he's also like, he has so many good premises that it's making your head.
But you guys were always the best
call
at the open mics. You
Thanks.
guys were the best at the open mics. It was
real quick though. Can we? Because we were talking about TikTok. What do you guys think of couples TikToks? Because those kind of bug me a little bit. There's something like kind of seedy about them.
I don't get it. What is it like?
I was watching like a couple's TikTok, and this guy was like telling his wife. No, but this guy was like telling his wife that he was gonna like take her shopping, and they were gonna go to Home Goods and Target, and she was like, "Wow." And I don't know. There's something.
That one, yeah. Oh, I fucking hated that. That you posted that, right?
No.
You posted that?
No, but I don't know. It came up. I was on Deb's TikTok and it came because I don't have it, but it came up in the.
I saw. Yeah, that one drives me nuts. Where he's like, "We're going to brunch," where she does that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
And the first thing he says is, "We're going to Home Goods." He goes, "We're going to Home Goods. We're going to Target." I don't know.
Well, they're fake. The thing that's annoying about it is it's a staged, gross thing. It's not organic and it's not like truly funny. Like none of them are funny. And then the ones where people try to get sincere make me sick. Like you'll see some of these like newer comics that they're not necessarily new comics, but they're just like generation younger than us. They're just very like, they think because being vulnerable used to be interesting like 5 years ago, people are like sharing their like crying pictures and they're like every TikTok's like about their anxiety. It's like, we're in a pandemic. Like everyone's already.
Everyone's going through shit.
Do you know how many podcasts I've gone on in the past like couple months where they've gone, "Hey guys, okay, tell me the worst thing that's ever happened to you." And I'm like, hello, my name's Annie. Like also listen to my Maren. Like I've already told this story. Like,
right.
Like I'm like, ew. And then all these people are the bigger the podcasts are, the more money they're making. And then I started thinking about it and I'm like, they have ads, right? And then they make clips and then they're promoting my like the worst experience of my life is just like cha-ching for them. It's just like a weird thing. I'm like, nobody, and who wants to hear this? Like, I'm so sick of it. Tell me your trauma and like how it's like changed. It's like, ugh.
I know. I got a little vulnerable. I got a little vulnerable on Instagram in the Instagram story the other night, and I almost like kind of regretted it because I like posted something and then I went to bed and I woke up to like 20 messages of people being like, "Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're, like," and I was just like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that," because I was like, now it's like
you cutting your wrist.
I know.
Yeah.
Trying to kill yourself.
He's like, "Is this a TikTok?"
I just have a plastic bag over my head. Yeah, I'm naked. I look like the guy from Abu Ghraib.
You thought this was problematic.
What I'm gonna do is
it's not pizza sauce, all right?
Yeah. I'm going to put 3 bullets in the chamber. I'm going to stick the gun on my ass and sit down. And they're like, "Hey, buddy, just hope you're doing okay." But that really is some of the worst fucking advice that comics get is to be vulnerable. Because then it's like people think that's all you have to do.
But also now that we have the internet and everyone can be vulnerable. So it's like, really be professional. Like try being professional. Like try like, I don't know. But I also don't think you shouldn't be vulnerable. I mean, it's like there's times for all of it. Of course. I feel oversaturated and I've been so grossed out going to these. I'm going to like people's houses I've never met. And they're asking me like, "You want to hear about me getting like baby raped?" Like that's disgusting. Like I don't want to tell you that.
Yeah.
I never raped a baby. I wasn't
No, we know you were molested.
I know. I just don't want to say molested again. It just makes my brain just goes.
It almost feels hack. Yeah.
It is. And then I'll hear people that came up after me and I'm like, "Are you stealing my bit or were you also molested?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I'll see a couple of them where I'm like,
when
you first started,
it's some girl that just got off the bus from Missouri and she's like, okay.
Everybody that guy molested just got into comedy.
Oh, and then the thing is too, when you share your story, people they'll like send you their rape story. You just wake up to like, and you're like, I don't need this. But I mean, it's cool to be vulnerable, and I think it was back then, but it's like now it's just like it is very hacky, right? It's just like, cool, you have anxiety. Who the fuck doesn't have it? We're not allowed to go outside. Like you don't have anxiety.
Yeah.
You're weird.
Yeah. When I was with Jost in Denver, and somebody came to the green room, and they were like, one of the staff came to the green room, and they were like, "Somebody wanted me to give you this," and this girl wrote in this long letter, and she was like, "Hey, Colin, like I'm really excited to see you. I'm a big fan. She's like, like a couple months ago I was sexually assaulted, and it's been hard for me to leave my house. But one thing that's like gotten me through it is watching TV, and especially watching SNL every week." And I'm just thinking, like, this poor girl, like,
think of how molested
has to watch SNL. She
for
got
SNL,
molested.
yeah, for SNL.
It's like if SNL can help you get through your molestation.
I feel more raped
Or you
every time I
molested.
watch it.
What's that?
I feel more raped every time I watch SNL.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. So
No, but it is like, what is Joe supposed to do with this information? It's like nice. Like it is nice to get those things where people are like, you've inspired me, you make me. That is nice.
Yeah.
But I think that should be done with by leading by example. And that's just like I don't know. There's just.
Well, have you ever had somebody tell you something real casually? You're like, I didn't need to know that. Like in college, this one guy came up to me and he goes, "Yeah, they killed my cousin last night, so I'm gonna have to do what I'm gonna have to do." And I'm like, "Jeez, tell me you're gonna go commit a fucking murder? Like what's wrong with you?"
You're like, you just budged in front of me at the cafeteria too.
who's they?
Whoa.
Who's they?
Okay, Kumia.
What do you mean? Oh no, I'm saying like you said they killed my cousin. Like who's he talking about?
Oh, he was like talking about like he was drunk. I think it was like one of those guys who like makes like gets drunk and is like, I'm gonna be dramatic because I've done that.
Yeah.
I think
you have.
Yes, I know. He was, but yeah, I think he was talking about like his cousin got shot and it was somewhere else in Indiana. And to be fair, like there were some like pockets of Indiana that were like really fucking bad when it came.
Did you go to college in Indiana?
Yeah.
What school?
University of Evansville in the middle of nowhere. It was like it had a good theater program.
Oh.
Yeah. So did my college.
I was a performer.
My college went out of business.
Trump University.
They actually went out of business 2 times, then it came back, and then the barracks all burned to the ground. Like it's like it's a joke. It burned to the ground. It's like,
burned to the ground like a fucking horror movie. Like
it was an expensive school.
Somebody torched it for insurance money.
I hope they did.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I had a dead grandfather that paid for it, and I didn't have to fucking. If I had student loans on that, I'd be so pissed. I'd be so mad.
One of my favorite memories, because so you guys are both sober, but one of my favorite memories of Dan was we were leaving somewhere and I was talking about. Sorry, I'm going to put this thing on the.
You just put the condom on his thing.
Yeah, I know this is dumb. But anyway, I was complaining because I was dating somebody. I was having a problem. I was having an argument, and I was telling Dan about it as we were walking down the street. And Dan just goes, "Yeah, well, we all got our problems." He pulls a can of beer out of his shirt, out of his jacket. He starts drinking the beer. And he goes, "I know I'm relapsing, but that was pretty funny, right?"
Dan's relapses were always so theatrical and like.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like choreographed. It was like, oh God. Did you run out of material and you had to relapse again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've told I've done stuff like so dramatic when I've relapsed. And like, one time I grabbed, I was thinking about killing myself. So I grabbed a butcher knife and like my friends who were sober, the only ones who are like, oh, you fucking drama queen. Like, they're the only ones who can like tell you you're being a fucking asshole right now.
Well, when you relapsed when we were all living together, and so Dan relapsed, and then I don't remember how. Mike, did you tell me were like Dan's drinking like? Or
I think so. I got home and he was in the bathtub with a t-shirt and no pants, and there was puke everywhere. But you know what? To his credit, I mean, it is fun. It's fun to be dramatic. It was
very fun.
You know?
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with you guys. I don't want you guys to change. I love you guys.
Yeah.
But
I get home and he's wearing it.
You get a little less dramatic as you get older.
You just get boring. For sure. Like, you stop getting attention. I mean, honestly, the truth is and I always think about this with your stand-up too. I would always feel so bad for you when you had a tough room because you have so many act outs.
Damn.
And so if you were having a rough set, I could see you like start like sweating and getting oh fuck because I had like a big act out coming out. Like you'd have a big one, and it's like.
I honestly think the only thing I've improved is like I know how to bomb a little better than I used to.
But you would go, oh God, and then you'd have to do the act out, and that's kind of like what growing up. Like you get older, and you're like, you can't be dramatic because you don't get the response anymore, and then it's just doing an act out to a bomb, like while you're bombing, you know?
Yeah.
But so Dan gets wasted, and then the next day, and I don't know if I was in AA or I was like,
so he had like he was wearing a t-shirt and no pants, and there was puke everywhere, and I was like, well, I guess and Dan was like, I'm sorry, Mike, I'll give you $100, as I'm like,
what, to suck his dick?
I guess, yeah. And I called like the only other sober person that we knew, which might have been a mistake. I don't know. It was probably because our friend Brian Baldinger, and then Brian comes over and Dan's like, oh, Brian's here. God damn it. Here.
But so I stayed on the couch. Okay. I slept on the couch outside of Dan's room because I was like, oh, I'll just take him to a meeting in the morning or whatever. Just assuming he would get it out of his system. And he wakes up and goes, I'm not going to a meeting. And then not only does he not go to a meeting, he doesn't want us to leave. He wants us to stay and party with him. So he orders us pizza and pasta. And
this is at like 11 in the morning.
We had a pizza pasta party.
Yeah. And pepperoni jalapeno.
And then he's not drunk enough for this to be acceptable. He starts going, your shirt's ugly, bitch. Like, he's like telling me like I'm like, Dan, you're literally just using this as an excuse to like say
how he
feels. To say.
Yeah. So I could become like a Def Jam female comic or something. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys.
Do not worry about it.
No, come on. It was fun.
No,
I always think that, like, I mean, this is the true thing about being an alcoholic is, like, I always think that I'm going to have, like, that this is the time I'm going to drink and it's not going to be a complete fucking disaster. And it always is.
Yeah. Is it the same for you, Annie?
Well, I haven't relapsed I have relapsed on weed a bunch of times, which I don't know if I call that a relapse or just, I have a whole problem.
You're like in and out with weed, right?
But weed is not, it's very bad for me.
It's not booze and it's not drugs.
It's not the same. Like I've never tempted myself with alcohol. Like I've never even thought about it. And luckily people react so poorly to alcohol so often that I usually see why I don't drink in other people who are drinking very often. But like with weed, I don't know people are like spinning and going crazy. They're not telling me that they're having a nervous breakdown, you know. But when I smoke weed, I just had to quit like 2 weeks ago because I got a stomach ulcer from stress, and then I was having all this rage and I smashed my phone. Like, I'm fucking 37 years old. I can't manage like not smashing my phone on purpose. Like, I don't know how to, I mean, it just was so obvious that the weed
paranoid.
Well, I think I speak for Dan when I say that body ain't 37.
Thank you.
All right.
Dan's married, you're married, and have a kid on the way. But anyway, thank you.
You're really growing into that mustache.
And how gross does it get? Have you started? I was watching this documentary about this artist, and Leonardo DiCaprio's dad's in it, and all these like weird old LA kooky artists are in it. And this one guy was like, you think you grow out of wanting pussy, but I still want, and it's like, he was just old. And I was like, like, we all have to be conscious of like growing out of like any of that talk. Like starts like,
you become a weird. It's like, it's also now when you're married, you can't be like, oh yeah, I fucked my partner the other day.
Yeah, I know, it's so gross to hear about someone that like you love. Like, I don't know why we can only hear about people you don't care about fucking. Like, that's
it's not real.
But yeah, because I gotta
hearing the word pussy come out of an older guy's mouth is
it's just weird.
It's jarring. It's weird. It's jarring. Yeah.
But even I think like in comedy and stuff, not that I'm like super old and have aged out of dirty jokes, but I think about it like my set before this, and not that all my jokes were dirty, but it's kind of like, I'm kind of like growing out of it. Just like, ew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
There's something really weird about like adults who are super into fart humor.
Mm-hmm.
There's something going on there. I don't know what that is.
Is that something you've seen like recently?
No, I don't know. I just like whenever I've met, there's like some sort of like immaturity there. There's something. You know.
My dog is humping.
Your dog?
My dog's just been banging the shit out of the toy.
It was really funny that because the one I was sort of thinking about what we were going to talk about for this episode, and the one kind of memory that stands out in my head is when Dan decided to move out of the apartment, because originally the apartment was Dan and Sean Donnelly and his wife, who wasn't his wife yet, but that was kind of that's like a thing in New York where you're a couple and you have a roommate, or maybe there's two roommates. but Dan. So it ended up being me and Dan and Annie in the apartment. Dan's name was on the lease, and then Dan decides he wants to move out, and and I remember talking to the two of you about Dan's decision to move out, because I remember Annie being like, he thinks he's better than us. That's why he's moving out. He thinks he's better than us. And so Annie getting that in her head. And then me talking to Dan about it, and Dan was like, I know Annie thinks that I'm moving out because I'm bigger than you guys, but that's not it. And then he said that the reason he was moving was because he needed to be around trees.
Oh, that's so sad.
Where did you move after that, though?
Fucking DeKalb stuff. I don't know.
Really?
I was lying. I was right.
Of course. Yeah. Just
an
objectively worse neighborhood.
I lived in I had no living room in my apartment. It was fucking terrible. So.
I definitely took things personally, but I just really liked living together. I liked all this living together.
Look, there was going to be a time clock. I just don't think I needed to live with anybody at that point. So, I couldn't imagine. None of us have roommates now besides our people.
No,
I couldn't do it. I think I'd rather be homeless.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about moving with my live-in assistant to and maybe with a friend of mine, just so we can move by the beach and have a really nice house. But if we did that, it would be like to have a very, very nice house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, well, that's different.
I know.
But
I do feel
it still would be weird. It would be weird.
I do feel very lucky that I get to, because we just moved to Carroll Gardens, and I do feel very lucky that I get to live in an apartment with my wife that I pay for half of. Because not everybody is this lucky. There's people who are my age who just have not a very good living situation.
No, I know we are lucky. We are lucky.
Yeah.
We are lucky. All of us.
But yeah, I don't know.
So Mike called me beautiful once. He goes, Annie, you're gorgeous. And
I remember that.
And I spit in his face, and it was really fast. It was good, right? Like it was the time.
Good, yeah. Yeah.
Because I used to always be like, stop hitting on me, and he'd say I spit in his face. And then I also had low self-esteem, so whenever anyone complimented me, I was like, took it as an insult. And I spit in his face, and then he went into his room and he grabbed a pile of his cum.
All right, we don't need to tell this story.
No,
right.
Yes, we do. He threw them at, this is a highlight. This is fucking good. And threw them at me, and it was one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me in my entire.
Oh, really? I'm a little embarrassed that I did that.
No, you got to remember how old we were. We were in our like early to mid 20s. It was so funny. It was so funny. It was hilarious.
If you do that in your 40s, you're just like in a weird documentary.
Yeah, we weren't.
Yeah, but if you went on Twitter, tomorrow and you said, I have a story that I want to tell you about, and it's hard for me, and like you framed it as like a Me Too thing, I could probably get in trouble for that. For throwing cum rags at you.
I could say that about any. I mean, it really is wild. I was saying I've been trying to work on a bit about how
face though. It would just be a mutual assured.
It was so funny.
No, honestly, but there's like a different. I don't know. It's like a different.
Yeah.
No, but I'm glad I've been trying to work on a.
I don't remember that story, and I go, oh, that was really funny. What I thought was funny was when you were on the phone with your mom and I Febrezed your pussy.
Oh, there's so many good stories.
That was my finest. That was one of the funniest things I've ever did.
Phone sexting with a girl in the living room. He was having phone sex. I did not realize this with a girl.
No, I don't think it was phone sex. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, whatever. He was just talking to her. I walk in. He's wearing mesh shorts.
Okay. Yeah.
I walk into the living room. Nothing's happened. I would not have even noticed.
I was wearing Adidas shorts and I had a boner.
I wouldn't have noticed. He's on the phone, right? He looks at me. He looks at the phone, and then he looks down at his boner, and then he looks back. He did like a triangle. So then I looked. I was like, Jesus Christ, Mike. So then when I first moved in, this would also get you canceled. And I want everyone to know this was all the funniest shit that's ever
I'm glad I gave you an opener for 8 years.
Oh yeah, you're right. And by the way, they put that in the Comedy Store documentary, and it's so embarrassing because I had done it again just one night. Yeah, and it looks like I've been doing that joke for fucking 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
But likely story. But so he slid under my door once, a little stick figure drawing of me sucking his dick and a gun to my with him and a gun to my
Jesus,
this is like.
Oh my God!
We need to put like an age advisory on this episode. You have to be at least 30.
Born in a certain
you have to be at least 31 years old to listen to this episode.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't just be over 18.
Yeah.
And wait, but didn't we? didn't we find like Mike's like?
Oh, that was fun when we moved
that
in.
was the craziest thing that I've ever.
I don't think I've ever made someone laugh that hard.
Racine. The craziest thing about Racine is when we were moving Mike. That one day we found his art book, and he had drawn. He had drawn a picture of an alligator.
Well, just to set up, so I got kind of depressed at one point in New York.
I want to go through.
No, we didn't have the setup when we found it, so they don't get the.
Okay,
I gotta go through these drawings first. One was an alligator that said, I don't feel so good. I think I'm going to die. And then there was an alligator that said, like, I hate myself. And then he had drawn pictures of all the other comedians, like, but just their heads, but like really accurate portrayals. But like this is Annie, this is Mike, this is Tom. It was fucking crazy.
Mike,
I remember you guys were because I had a lot of drawings in that notebook. I had one was like a clown, I drew like an angry clown. I mean, it's stuff that, I mean, I guess it was funny to you guys, but I remember because you guys were moving me and you found a sketchbook with my drawings in it, and you were like, Annie was like, I can't breathe. I'm laughing so hard. And I'm just thinking about some of the drawings that were in there because it was like
it was like young Michael Myers.
Yeah, it was like. It was like 23-year-old me just being very angry and upset and frustrated with the world. There was a ghost. There was like a ghost flying above the city being like, it's hard being a ghost.
It was so sad. It was like, oh my God. Kathy needs Prozac. This cartoon strip is not doing well.
You're angry at the world. You're like, no, it just was like the sad rumblings of a 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What else?
Well, it's funny to think of. It's funny to imagine because I moved to the city when I was like 20 years old. So it's like at 20, your brain's not developed. You're like not even a person. You're just this kid that's being thrust into the real world. You're trying to figure stuff out. And thank God that not as much is on Twitter of the things that
we would have been
felt
done
and believed we would have been done.
I want to work on a bit about how now it's like
But you see what I'm saying? Like if you were like he threw his cum rags at me, like I could be, know what I mean? Like that could be like.
Let me tell you what I'm saying.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is you have to treat like your male comic friends like they're black guys. Like you can't call the cops like it's like calling the cops. Like I can't just be like, oh, like there's some.
You could treat them like they're black teenagers making noise in your courtyard.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like I just have to be like,
okay, because something.
If I was like, yeah, and then like
the consequences will be too severe.
Like, yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Remember the old days we used to be able to just take a face full of cum rags and have a good laugh.
Annie's just some like 70-year-old woman at the bar smoking, being like, you kids, you complain about everything.
Back in the day.
I got a handful of Mike Racine's cum rags in my face. I didn't complain. I kept my head down and kept working.
And now he's governor of New Jersey.
Hey, a guy can dream, I guess.
Do you remember when Dan and I headlined the Irvine Improv and I together?
Oh, that was funny.
And then I took the picture Mindy had taken of all of us and I crossed your face off and I said, two of these people are headlining the Irvine Improv and the other one's selling pizzas or pasta sauce out of his car.
Yeah, I guess that was funny.
Oh, good. Well, look at us now. I'd love to have.
Maybe someday I'll headline the Irvine Improv. I don't know.
I don't know if headlining it does our job come
Wait,
back?
let me ask you guys this, because we've all been in comedy for a long time, and I feel like, do you have, now that we've sort of been away from it and we've had a chance to like step back from it, is there anything that you've realized or has your perspective on it changed, since the pandemic? Is there anything that makes you go like, oh wow, why did I care about that? Or like, this is silly, or like, like, do you feel like you left some type of cult? Because that's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that probably.
You just think of how hard you worked to impress certain people.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you remember when you had that thing about Whiplash? Like, you're like, if I'm not booked on Whiplash by this year, I'm fucking moving to LA or whatever. Yeah. Like Whiplash, Whiplash, guys listening, was the show that was at the UCB that was like, you know, they had big names on it. They didn't pay you. It was a free show at 11 on Monday or Sunday. And the booker was just very precious about his booking and very gatekeeperish. And it was like one of the goals that you wanted. It was like that. You wanted a Montreal.
It was a big show.
Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big show you wanted to get on. I never got on it. And I look back on it, it's like so hilarious. It's like UCB closed down. I don't know what that guy's up to. It's like those things just don't even like matter. And these were things that were like killing me. They were killing me. Like I wanted to do Meltdown out here and like whatever Kamel's wife's name was.
That
like,
guy's the guy who books it. He's just homeless with a dog, but he's walking around every day. He's like, at least I never booked Annie Lederman on.
He's like, so nice thinking about me every day.
It was like a personal achievement for him.
Just all I got into, like, you know, I took a lot of things personally, and maybe they were personal, but it just doesn't matter. There was always another place to go and another like way to rise. And, you know, it's weird because now, you know, I moved to LA and I've been at the Comedy Store for years now. And that was really cool. And I was like in the cool club and doing this. And now it's like, who fucking knows what's going to happen with the Comedy Store? And it's just kind of a no man's life, I guess I'm remembering. But it was so fun. I do look back on those open mics. I mean, we would do so much. I feel like I was like crying blood at the end of the week when we'd be done. And it was just so much work. And now I realize I definitely like think we needed that much work back then. But now I still had to break that. Quarantine did that. Like I had to break that. You got to do multiple sets a night. I was still doing that, feeling like an asshole when I turned down shows. And now I'm like, you need time to like.
It's nice just kind of step back a little bit and like tend to your life, you know.
Yeah.
Knock somebody up. Take care of your dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would have told myself to focus on my own shit and not worry about, you know, these like imaginary brass rings or whatever.
Yeah. Because we did get a lot of them. We really did get most of the things.
Yeah, and you can't get everything. And it's also like, you know, maybe if I had, you know, I don't know. It's like how much time did I there's certain things like when you have like a script deal and then like that whole time that I was just working on the script when I should have been like also doing other shit because that wasn't real, really, you know? So
well, yeah, I mean, he thinks like this is going to be it. How many times were you like, this is it?
Oh, of course.
Just like it's all just a pile-on of a lot of like tiny accomplishments and like a bunch of failures, and then it's like
yeah.
But so many people just didn't. The idea of like making it, and I just remember always thinking like, oh, you just like, you know, this, you get these things and you make it, and it's just like that's not like a thing, really.
Yeah. Talk about the dog a little bit. I remember like we moved in. So you and I moved in at the same time. You guys found my drawings. You had a nice little laugh. And then I think about a month later, Dan was like, I want a dog.
Yeah, that's what you're going to say before you shoot us.
You had a nice little laugh.
Yeah, nice little laugh.
You insulted my art. I could have been somebody. And you guys laughed at me. And I talked to a man. He said I could have been big. I could have had my own Tumblr.
So I had a dog, my dog Punky, when I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, before I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, I just gave her temporarily, I thought, to my parents to watch while I was like figuring out how to live in New York, and I was quitting drinking and stuff. And then when I quit drinking and started doing comedy, I realized like my dog ownership was really reliant on liquid courage. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm not responsible enough to have a dog. I can't have a fucking dog. And with our schedules and stuff, because I was working as a waitress at Life Cafe in the East Village I would go like 9 to 4 p.m. there. And then I would immediately, like sometimes I could get a yoga thing in, but then immediately was going to like 4 or 5 mics a night. And even when it turned into shows, it was still like just a full schedule all the time. And so I just didn't have time to have a dog. So then I just kind of
remember when I insulted your lesbian friends?
What did you do? Was that a show?
The lady Kate, and she had a younger girlfriend.
Oh yeah. What
anyway,
happened?
who cares about that?
Like setting a pride flag on fire in front of him.
Yeah, but you know what?
Hey, sorry, I'm just a little boy. I don't know any better.
But that woman, I hadn't talked to her in years.
Yeah.
And I got a text from her like before the election. I was like, oh my God, what's Kate up to? And it was just like, hey, I see you haven't voted. I was like, fuck you. I was so mad at her. Like, that's what you were texting me about, bitch?
Yeah.
And then I never voted now.
Yeah. Go back to the dog.
So I didn't have time for the dog. And then Dan, so I'd given this dog up. So think I have all this guilt about giving my dog up. Then Dan just goes sort of nonchalantly, I think I'm going to get a dog. And I'm like, we can't have dogs, right? And this is all my projection because I'm like, if someone else gets a fucking dog and I can't have a dog. But I just was like, we don't have the lifestyle for that. Mm-hmm. And you were like, I could raise a dog. And I was like, all right, I'll get my dog to give to you. You take care of her for 2 weeks. I won't do anything. And you'll see how hard it is. And then the minute I got the dog, I was like, it's my dog. You were like, I don't want a dog anymore, and I don't want your dog either. And I just was like, all right, it's my dog, and I'm not giving her back. And I remember Sean Donnelly being like, you have to give, because he would walk her for me sometimes. He's like, you have to give her, like, come on, your parents want the dog back. I was like, shut up, Sean. You don't get my dog.
Yeah, and then he was like, Dad's making me give my dog away.
No, you guys sat me down and had an intervention. You don't remember that, Mike?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
yes, you all sat me down.
I remember one time I went to I was thinking about adopting a dog with my ex-girlfriend, and I brought my ex-girlfriend and Mike, and I'm like, which one should we get? And then Mike's like, hey, this one looks pretty good, and it was literally this snarling dog, like angrily just snarling and growling at me on its hind legs. I was like,
it matches my energy.
You know what's fucked up, guys? And Brian Baldinger says this to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or hasn't. No, I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was like, if you guys had kept doing Trainwrecks, so we had a podcast called Trainwrecks for like 3 episodes or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then Marcus Parks.
It was us, Joe Rogan, and Keith and the girl, I think, at that time.
Honestly, like literally, possibly.
Yeah.
And Marcus Parks, he's on last podcast on the left now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did he do that one?
Yes.
He was like, nah, let's not do it. He was like, this isn't good. But Brian always brings it up, and he's like, if you guys had kept doing it, do you know how fucking successful your podcast would be now?
Why does he think that, though? I mean, it's
he's
not
right,
like
because it would have been like we would have built a viewership because there were not that many.
There were not.
I'm definitely become more of a pussy in terms of what I'll say on podcasts and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like, if it would have been good for a couple of years, but then I think I would have probably gotten too cagey like everybody else.
You never know what it's like when you work with somebody for a long time, and then there's, and then there's conflicts, and then they compound because you have to, put this thing out. I mean, just me doing this podcast, it's like every week, man. I can do a show on Patreon every day, but every week Tuesday rolls around, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta,
Oh, I've pulled podcasts. I did this girl's podcast recently. And I was like, oh, I don't like what I said on it. I was like talking too negatively and stuff. And she was like, well, what did you say? It was a good podcast. And I was like, no, I just don't. Can you just pull it? And she's like, I don't want to. And I was like, please. And it was this whole thing. And then she's like, just listen to it. And I finally listened to it. And it was actually fucking hilarious and fine. And we had like great chemistry. And I was just being psychotic. I just get like paranoid because you don't know. Like people just run with shit.
Yeah, you never know in the moment. I did a podcast in LA one time, and I made some joke, and the guy got like really upset, and I don't think it ever aired. Brian actually booked me on it.
What was the podcast?
It was some video game podcast because I emailed Brian. I was like, I'm coming to LA. Are there any podcasts that I could do? Because I thought he kind of like knew people, and it was these 2 guys. The one guy was kind of cool, but the other guy was very like he was very like phony LA. Like he walks in the room and he's like, yeah, we're doing it, and then I made a joke about Hillary Clinton, and he got like upset.
Oh.
And then he like wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the show. And I'm like, to the point where the other guy was like, "Are you okay? Do we need to start the episode over?" And then he told me that like I was the most uncomfortable guest they ever had.
Because we're going for jokes, and
cool.
so many people aren't doing that.
Let's just waste each other's time. I know.
I used to do this podcast that Cracked all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel Bloom would do it too before she did Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
She got so mad at me once because she said something about the Holocaust. I was like, can we stop talking about things that didn't happen? Like, I just made the most obvious joke. Like, I'm like, can we just talk about real things that happened for once on this podcast?
Yeah.
And it was like her face. And then she was like, I mean, she's still like, I think she might still follow me or something, but it was like very like, and I just couldn't understand.
She thought that you were a Holocaust denier?
I know. It's like you really thought I was being serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She actually probably just wants to like show that she was against that,
Yeah.
Right.
But I just, there's just different types. And I always felt like it was like UCB people and us back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It was like improvisers and us. And we were more willing to make jokes and they were like secretly raping people.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What lunatic would decide to get into comedy now?
That's how I feel. Like some people will either can I pick your brain about how to do? It's like, are you kidding? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Fucking run.
Can you tell me how to do comedy right now? I don't know how to do it.
Can you work for a natural gas company?
Yeah, do anything. Solar panels.
I think I said this on this episode already, but it is funny to think that, like, you know, we had that time where we were living together and we had everything to look forward to. And then what we were looking forward to was like a pandemic where we can't leave our house and maybe you have a podcast. You know?
I think it's going to be okay, though. I think things are going to come back. I'm really excited. I think my career was in a good spot. And I made a choice to really, like, stick to stand-up. I did not waver. I did, like, a little bit of writing here and there, but I never took the writing jobs and stuff. And in the beginning of the pandemic, we talked with, and it was Mike Lawrence, too.
I can't believe you wrote for the Borat movie.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was
congrats.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I wrote on that and Who Is America.
There's not a lot that, like, people that there's not really much to aspire to anymore, but that's like that's something that's really cool.
I mean, that's awesome. I was
working with Sasha is cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the movie was hilarious.
Yeah, I loved it.
The girl who played his daughter was really funny too. She's fantastic.
So they had, I can't talk too much about like what happens there because it's so NDA publicly, but they were still auditioning girls when she came in, and I saw her audition tape, and it's like, she's above and beyond any of it. It was like crazy how good I wish they would release it. It was so good.
Her audition tape?
So fucking good.
What was the audition for the movie?
I don't know what they told her to, like, if they gave her like that many lines or what she improvised or something, but it was just so funny. She was like doing all these things about like her daddy, like the way she was just talking. She's like, my daddy, he, you know, I don't get to go to school. Like there's everything. Every instinct she had was like absolutely perfect.
It was perfect. Yeah.
And then while I was in the room, because I was only, you know, they have you come in and out, so I wasn't in the whole time at all.
Yeah.
And I definitely worked on Who Is America more. But then the next time I came in, they had started like working with her. So then they would show you like the different trials that they did where they would test with different like random people. And it was just hard to find people that didn't know the movie Borat.
Right. That's a fine line you walk, I think, with that character. Cause it's like, if you go, it's like, you don't want to be like, you're making fun of poverty. You don't want to be like punching down. If you do it the wrong way, it's like you're punching down, but
it's definitely different. Yeah. This one was definitely different than the last one. Yeah. Cause you have to pick a target and you also want to do both.
But those characters are so funny.
What was good about, I think, Who Is America was like, he made sure to make fun of liberals too. Like it wasn't just like
you can't let anybody off the hook.
Yeah, you have to let them hang themselves. That's what's really good about Sasha.
Right.
He always they don't win, you know, they fuck themselves. But it's been, I feel good about the future. I think things are going to be good. I think they're going to come back, and I don't know. I would love, like, maybe we should all just like do a tour one day.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Be fun.
I don't know if I could even do 10 minutes right now.
Well, it would be in the future. I mean, I'll get it back. It doesn't go away. Dan, you're like one of the best comedians.
Yeah.
You're so funny.
You guys are great. I can't do it. No, I mean, like, it's just one of these things where it's harder to do it now, right? It's just
for sure
harder to come up with shit. It's harder to write stand-up for me now than it ever has.
But eventually we will reach herd immunity where enough people will die and there won't be a virus anymore.
And there'll only be us and TikTokers left on the road.
Exactly. And then we'll battle it out.
But I feel like, I do feel like what you're saying too, like, do you mean just like where we are in society, it's harder to write jokes? Because I do think what I was saying earlier about the vulnerability and stuff, I used to always go up and kind of like all my jokes were tattletaling on myself. And like, you can't really, it's so overdone. Like being like, if you do like Louis-esque jokes or like darker, like that's like hacky now almost, you know, to like do things that.
Yeah, it's not conducive to the climate, I guess. I
don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just like you see all these big guys like all.
It would feel hack if someone went on stage and they were like, "So I masturbate."
Yeah.
You know, it would feel like we did that already. Yeah. All right. Well, let me ask you guys a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up. This has been a lot of fun. Is there anything when you look back on your life, on your youth that's over? Well, maybe not for Annie, but for me and Dan, it's probably over. Any mistakes that you think you made? Anything you wish you could have done differently?
It just got so fucking became a different podcast.
Yeah, I know.
I won't say his name, but I think you remember my fat ex-boyfriend. I would take that back.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. So many.
Fattest man.
Yeah.
What psychopath? That's the crazy thing about Trump. Trump said he's never made any mistakes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, how could we have elected that guy when somebody said that for real?
It was
Speaking of it turning into a new podcast, this is Mike's Patreon. Do you think that they want to hear about?
Yeah, they give a shit. Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah.
Like Trump? You mean the guy who won this current election? You mean our current president that we're gonna have for another 4 years? I just had so much fun. I just had so much fun with you guys. I really just remember good stuff. Yeah. I just regret like taking things personally and like caring so much about what other people thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I regret any time I don't know, acted like a dick.
Oh, I don't care about that. I think the people bullied me about being a bully.
Really? Because sometimes I do think of like the way that Annie and I treated people, and I feel kind of bad.
We were joking,
but that was sort of the climate.
We were kidding.
Yeah, we were sometimes kidding. we were a little shitty though.
With what?
Well, with that open mic that we hosted, I think we ruffled some feathers. No, you're right. I know.
Listen,
but some people were legitimately like upset by it. But that's the other thing too. It's like, well, why are you getting upset?
Toughening them up, dude. We were
exactly. No, I know.
It was not. Everyone was allowed. Just be funny. It was like it was all inclusive. Just be funny. That was. I remember I was teasing and making people strong. Like that is laughing.
Right.
I don't think we were. It wasn't. When I bring up Suba, I'm kidding, and I really am proud of her. She's doing great.
Right.
It's like I don't. It was like it was a roast mic. That was what it was, and then roast battle came out.
Do you think Suba's happy? What's that?
Is that like New York open mics? Like the shocking would only be shocking for like a day. Like I remember like the first day there was like a week where this old lady was like going on stage and like getting naked and spreading her legs. Mm-hmm. And like the first day it was like really shocking, but then by the end of the week she was just like in the hallway of the pit talking to Jay Welch about when she was going up. Like it was just like, it just became a normal like hey what's going on, girl who pulled the set list out of her vulva, how are you doing? It became a normal thing.
So many naked people. I saw so many dicks and stuff. It was just like, and it was so funny. It was just very entertaining and funny.
But also there wasn't so much like documenting everything and putting it on social media. So it was a little more like unfiltered, I think. And I think that's something that is just it's not coming back. The sort of like, I don't know, the feel of it, the sort of underground type of feeling of it.
I guess I'm just glad that I got to be a part of that, and I'll see what I can do in this other climate.
Yeah.
I hope you had the time of your life.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna listen to when I smoke crack for the first time with you, Dan.
We should, if we're all alive in 10 years, we should all smoke crack together.
In 10 years?
Yeah. Well, 5 years.
Kids going to like second grade. We're smoking crack.
Daddy has a road gig. Daddy's going to pick up trash in another state.
In 25 years, I'll smoke crack with you guys.
In 25 years?
Well, knowing me, I'm like, oh, wait, tomorrow? You got
wait, we can smoke crack? You have it with you? You're like, I got it, guys.
Explaining to
hear a knock on the door. And
yeah.
I have an Uber Eats come in with a rock for everybody.
Explaining to Dan's wife that he relapsed smoking crack for a bit, like it was for a podcast.
You don't understand. It was for a podcast. She's like, it was? Where can I listen to it? Well, you have to join us Patreon to hear it.
Yeah.
You don't give my widow access to the Patreon. You make my widow pay $5.
Yeah. No, it's the only way to access it. Actually, I'm sorry. I wish I could change the rules.
Oh, that's so.
You don't have like an RSS feed or anything?
You don't think I have people that I don't want to listen to my show, but I can? Come on.
You guys, honestly, my biggest regret is that I missed your guys' weddings. I'm sad about that.
Well, I'm sad that I missed both of your weddings, too.
Well, don't worry. I'll have a few in the future.
COVID. Well, you missed my wedding because of COVID.
I know, but I probably would have been broke, too. I was so broke I couldn't go to. I should have made.
I feel bad.
No, but I invited Dan like the week of because I didn't know if we were allowed to have friends or not. And then my brother canceled. My brother, who was supposed to be my best man, he was like worried about COVID, which it's like you could just come and what I don't know, but he's
Was
also
Alex
like,
your flower girl?
Yes.
Dude, I went to a wedding later on in August. I was freaked out the whole time.
Yeah.
Weddings are where people get them the most, I feel like.
Yeah, and that wedding could have been a super spreader. Thank God it wasn't.
The pictures are great. Deb looked hot. That's all you need.
Yeah, I know.
You just need your wife to look hot in your wedding photos.
You need your wife to
but
look hot.
I should have gotten Soder to like pay for my ticket or something. You know he wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
That's
whatever.
Okay.
Well, you have a.
Yeah, but then you'd be going to the airport. I mean, I don't know. COVID has been a nice excuse to get out of a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's been amazing.
Oh, dude, there's going to be a lot of things I'm going to miss about COVID.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I was able to blow off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can literally just, and I haven't done this yet, but I'm saving it for something. But you can literally just be like, "Hey, my throat's a little scratchy. You
haven't done that yet? I've done that so many times.
Really?
2 minutes before I'm supposed to be somewhere. It's so funny. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Like you never get a COVID scare like a moment before you're supposed to be somewhere. But that's where all of them I've heard people use are always like, you're like late. And you're like, yeah, I want to be there. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I feel
I'm probably
fine,
but I'm coughing. Yeah, I'm coughing. I'm a little tired. My throat feels a little. I don't want to risk it.
I'm sleepy.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
Well, guys, should we do it? Should we kill ourselves? Was that the plan?
Why we came
all the suicide jokes. We really had a good time.
Yeah. Well, we're still here. We're still alive.
That's so sad to say it like that.
Do you guys have any final thoughts? Annie, any final thoughts? Do you want to plug anything?
Plug anything? Yeah, listen to my podcast, Me Inspiration. I'm going to start a new podcast that's going to be very good, but that's being released soon. More details, but Me Inspiration, and you can watch it on YouTube /Annie Lederman. You can join my Patreon if you want, also /Annie Lederman. Follow me on Instagram, and just trying not to get an OnlyFans, guys. Just trying to not get an OnlyFans.
Yeah. I canceled mine.
Did you have one?
Yeah.
I would do one if it was just like not naked, but everyone's like, you can do them not naked. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Didn't everybody get pissed off at Bella Thorne or something because she
went on and she made like $11 million or something.
And didn't, I don't know, it was weird.
She was like, I want to see what it's like to be a sex worker. And then everyone canceled their subscription to see her.
Yeah,
I got taken for a ride a couple days ago because somebody that I comic who I follow has an OnlyFans, and she was like, just recorded some content with a friend, gonna post it. If you subscribe, it'll be in your inbox in the morning. And then so I subscribed, and then she ended up posting it, but you had to pay for the video. And she said a friend, I was like, oh, maybe a little little girl on girl content or something. You had to pay, but it was just
How is Paula Poundstone's?
She looks good.
I just feel like when I was coming up, we were all the girls we were trying to like not be girl. Like we were trying so hard to not like be sex objects, but now it's just like, fuck it. Do use whatever you got while you got it, I guess. It's
weird how that's really changed a lot, and you don't really think about it.
A lot of those Brooklyn girls, Mike.
After
I left, the like newer ones, it's so annoying because they're like all like naked in front of their mirror, and they're like, stop, don't, like if you write like a boy writes something like, ew, you're objective. It's like, bitch,
yeah,
your ass off the thing then.
Yeah.
If I post a picture showing my butt, which I did do today, I expect some comments.
Isn't it real weird, Mike? Like as a man, the only way you could probably make easy money now is like to offer like for a rich old guy to like nearly beat you to death.
Just hunt you on an island somewhere.
Yeah, just hunt. That's the only way I could get $50,000.
Yeah.
If like I let some guy hunt me for a while or something.
Dan's just imagining himself as a woman with an OnlyFans making $50,000 a month.
It's just like, but you understand it's like disgusting. Like I just don't. For me, it is. It's like I'm here for my words. I'm here to like make people laugh. I'm not,
Well, I'll tell you how I make money. It's not always easy, but it's junk removal. If you guys have any junk removal if you got a big pile of trash, clean outs, furniture removal, shoot me an email, michael.racine@gmail.com.
Are you your own sponsor?
I have a moving company. I started a moving company. It's called Truck Boys Moving. So shoot me an email if you're moving in the tri-state area, truckboysmoving@gmail.com. I like it. I like the financial independence that it grants me.
You're driving a Nikki Glazer. She told me that.
She did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm taking her stuff to St. Louis. It's an honor. It's an honor. What did she say?
She just said you were doing that.
Yeah, right. She said something negative about me.
Not even a little bit.
No, I know. No, it's good. She's great to work for. I've moved her multiple times. Great customer. Great gal. Great comic. So that's truckboysmoving@gmail.com. Please.
I thought Dan froze, but he's just like in the same sad position.
Dan, anything you want to? Any final thoughts? Any plugs?
I have a wrestling podcast, Total Effing Marks. That's it.
Nice.
We got Patreon too.
Just remember, guys, it ain't over till it's over. You know.
You both have extremely attractive wives. I'm really proud.
We both have extremely attractive wives.
Good job.
That's not nothing. That does mean something.
That's really a big deal. Honestly,
it really is a big deal.
I've seen of you guys, I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Very happy for you.
There's not that many ways to measure winners in this world. You can go by money. You can go by how hot the guy's wife is. And I think Dan and I
don't have money.
We don't have money, but we are winners. We don't have money, but we are winners. We both got solid 7.5s that married us. All right, everybody. That's the episode. You know the deal. Support the show on Patreon if you can. Patreon.com/sitdownpod where we do a show.
If you want to fuck my wife, go to Dr.
You want to fuck Dan's wife. See, that's an easy way to make money. You be your wife's pimp.
Oh my God! You make your wife do an OnlyFans.
That's another thing.
You make your wife do a pregnant OnlyFans.
Hunted by an older rich guy or becoming a pimp. Those are the only two ways we can make.
Hunted is so funny, Dan. You got a bit. See, you're writing jokes.
Yeah,
you take pictures of your pregnant wife while she's sleeping, and you sell them for money. There's a market out there. Are you attracted to pregnant women? I hear that's a thing. Don't. Does
that sound like the beginning of an ad? Are you attracted to pregnant women?
Are you a sick fuck? Go to onlyfans.com/Deb. No,
who is it? Have you met anyone though who's into that pregnant shit?
Joe DeRosa, didn't he say he was in a pregnancy?
Deb's mom gave me a tour of her office one time. She works at an elevator company, and she was like, she was introducing me to everybody there, and one of the guys goes, "I'll tell you." She was talking about like having grandkids, and one of the guys goes, "I'll tell you what, there's nothing sexy than a pregnant woman. There really isn't." She's like, "Okay, all right, cool."
You're like my daughter. I was talking about grandchildren.
Yeah.
Also, it's like I understand when somebody says like there's nothing more beautiful than a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
Like a globe, but it'd be like, oof.
I'll tell you what.
She has a pussy inside her pussy. Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just want to glaze that round belly like a donut. You know?
Every Friday I drop my pants and I watch pregnant women drink milk, and I crank one out before my kids get home from school. It's really beautiful. I love blowing a sweet load to a woman who's 8 months pregnant. All right, everybody.
I like
that's
how
a good spot to end.
swelling in her ankles. You know, it's just really.
I mean, that's why. I mean, cuck porn is the funniest shit ever. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah, Mike's like, it's real funny, right?
Yeah, it's really. Who would participate in something like that?
What is it again?
Yeah, what a loser, huh? To watch another man fuck your wife.
And by the way, that is watchmywifegetfucked.com/Dan St Germain.
Yeah.
.gov.
.gov. .biz.
Oh, it's me, Barack Obama. I'm gonna fuck your wife. All right, that's the show. Thanks, everybody. Great talking to you guys. And
I love you guys.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
All right, bye.